Hello, I'm Andrew Pritchard. Thank you for watching today's Northeast Regional Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. So you look at the next week of precipitation anomaly. To start with a snapshot look here, taking us through May 30th. We continue to watch a very active pattern across the central United States, and that becomes problematic for us here in the Northeast region as these repeated rounds of thunderstorms develop in the Central Plains. They track through the Midwest and ultimately end up coming through the Northeast, and that keeps us a little bit wetter than average through a corridor here through the Northeast region. As we look ahead to the week 2, so this would be May 31st through June 6th, we see more of the same. An active pattern over the central U.S. This is certainly the most problematic region in the country right now in terms of very heavy rainfall, but this pattern impacts us here in the Northeast because these rounds of thunderstorms, while they may have rained out some of their precipitation, still do make their way into the Northeast region, keeping us more active than average. Temperature forecast here, temperature anomalies over the next 5 days. We see that ridge of high pressure over the southeast. That's continued to pump Gulf moisture into the central plains, which flares up those thunderstorms across the middle part of the country. But that also keeps us warm here, especially across the southeast. But those warmer temperatures do make their way into the northeast region as well. So while it is a bit wetter than average, we're also a little bit warmer than average in a lot of these areas here in the northeast as well. This pattern does continue into the day 6 through 10 period. So this is May 31st all the way into June 4th now. And we continue to see warmer than average temperatures forecast here over the eastern United States, including the northeast region. The reason for that, well, we look at the jet stream and we continue to see this trough off to the west with a ridge in the east. Underneath that ridge, we are warm. Behind that ridge, it's cooler. And between those two air masses here along the region here where you see the very fast jet stream winds in the core of the jet, that's where we see the repeated rounds of showers and thunderstorms and severe weather across the central U.S., and those follow the jet stream off into the northeast region. Now we look at convective available potential energy, CAPE. That is the fuel that these thunderstorms drive or take their energy from. It's kind of a combination of warm and moist air here that, again, gives us this measure of instability within the atmosphere. And as we go ahead and loop this, I'm going to take you through the next 3 days. You'll continue to watch the flow of the atmosphere pump moisture into the central U.S. You're going to see as the days peak, as this instability peaks each day, you'll see little blossoms of thunderstorms that really, they take away the instability. I'll go ahead and play this so you see what I'm talking about. Right here, boom, over the central U.S. Watch it right here. Next day, boom. Those are the thunderstorms that develop, again, during the peak instability period of the day, which is the mid-afternoon and late evening when it's the warmest outside. I'll play this one more time just so you can watch this again. It's really cool to see. As it peaks, boom. It's each day the instability peaks and then boom, your thunderstorms flare up. And the reason I want to show this is because as it gets towards the end of the loop, we are seeing some of this unstable air make its way into the northeast region. And again, remember where these thunderstorms are developing here each day and then tracking off to the east. I know it looks like a football screen now with all the arrows drawn on there. But just to illustrate, why this pattern is happening, it's the very strong jet stream winds over this unstable air mass that's developing these thunderstorms across the central U.S. that then track into the northeast region. So we'll look at the next 3 days here, the high-resolution NAM model precipitation forecast, and that's going to show, again, the pattern, just dealing with these every few days. The cluster of storms comes in from the east. As we start on Friday morning, seeing some showers exit the northern regions here. We'll be dry through much of the day on Friday unless you live off to the far west, parts of western Pennsylvania and New York State, maybe seeing some light showers Friday evening, but really dry as we head all the way into Saturday morning, and then it's midday Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening. We see a next storm system moving through, bringing the chance for thunderstorms to this entire region here, perhaps even some severe weather possible, especially across parts of Pennsylvania and New York, where instability will be the highest, again, on Saturday and Sunday. Total precipitation taking us through Sunday afternoon. And again, it's hit or miss with a pattern like this. You see these streaks here. It's not a widespread swath of precipitation like we see during the winter. As we shift into the summer, this is the look we get used to with these little streaks that are caused by thunderstorms, where your heaviest precipitation ends up being within the core of those thunderstorms. So just absorb the overall pattern here, but you can't take each one of these swaths as complete fact. As we head through the next 3 days, the heaviest rain will just simply fall where these thunderstorms impact. Perhaps, you can take a little bit of fact from this area over here to the west. Certainly, where the chance for severe weather is the highest. That's where we're going to see the highest chance for very heavy rainfall within those thunderstorms. But it still does have that streaky look to it where you're getting the higher values of maybe 2 to 3 inches, but it's an isolated area or a narrow corridor that picks up that very heavy rainfall associated with the heaviest thunderstorms. Now, looping this pattern over the next week, you're going to notice that it really just reloads on itself. We do see this trough dive out here towards the end of the loop. This is late next week, but you'll also notice that we've got another trough already developing here. As this frame finishes, I'll go ahead and let it reset once more. There you see that next trough eject early next week. As we get to the end of the week, we've already got another trough that is awaiting to eject off over the central United States, and it just kind of reinforces and reloads this pattern as we head into the first part of June, which again is going to favor the development of thunderstorms over the central U.S., riding over the top of that ridge, tracking into the northeast region. So I do believe it will stay active for the next week or two across this region. We'll go ahead and take a look out a little bit further here with the European model. I'm going to go ahead and click through time once I get the ability to do so. Here's my little scroller. We'll go ahead and start with this weekend. We watched that first system moving off from the north. As we head into, remember, Saturday into Sunday, we see the chance for rain and thunderstorms across the northeast. Here it is. Maybe some severe weather off to the southwest across Pennsylvania and New York. As we head into Monday now, we're watching the next storm system over the Midwest, and now here it comes on Tuesday. Now this becomes our problem on Tuesday. And then now look, Wednesday, storms developing over the central U.S. This tracks off to the northeast, becomes our problem Thursday and Friday. So there it is. There's the pattern just reinforcing itself. You can almost look downstream across the Midwest for, your next day's weather, because if they're having storms, then you can probably assume here, at least for the next week, that they will be, or that storm system will be headed that direction towards the northeast in the next 24 hours. The next 7 days of precipitation, just taking the raw model output from the European model, and there it is. There is that corridor with thunderstorms developing off to the central plains, tracking through the Midwest, and those complexes riding over the top of the ridge into the northeast region. From the GFS model, a very similar look. Thunderstorms develop over the south or the central plains, southern plains, track through the Midwest, ride over the top of that ridge of high pressure. It's dry here, but that clockwise flow around it keeps the thunderstorms pumped into the northeast region here. We'll finish with a look at high temperatures over the next 5 days. Your Friday high temperatures, here. Cooler off to the north where we've got precipitation and cloud cover only in the 50s and perhaps the lower 60s off to the north with mid-70s in the south. Warming up though as we head into the weekend, 70s widespread. Sunday, high temperatures even 80s and 90s off to the south, but still warm widespread across the area. Your Monday high temperatures, Tuesday, and then I do not have Wednesday on there, so that will do it for us today. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Monday morning Ag forecast video, and I'll have your next Northeast regional forecast for you midday on Tuesday. Have a great weekend.